What is up, guys? We're gonna call this round 5 of this league challenge, even though there wasn't a round 5. This is really just a fun game that I played against my last round opponent. He wanted to try out his Hisuian Zoroark Dodrio deck, which I thought was a really cool idea, so I'm always game to test against new decks, and funnily enough, I think it actually got 55th at Sacramento, so not too bad. My hand here is actually very playable, and my opponent, of course, does start the Drapion V, attaches a double turbo energy, and we're going to get down the Gardevoir bog. There's not going to be a match timer on this one intentionally. That's staying blank. I do remember about it this time, but this is just a fun game, and we do both play a little bit slower than we normally would, so I got it playing on 2 times speed. Just because it was more of a playtesting match, so I want to make sure that you guys don't have to sit here through some pretty long plays. So 2 times speed seems pretty decent. We capturing Aroma for a Gengar. That's the one where if you discard it, you can get it from the discard pile and put 3 damage counters on it. I do have a Curly in the hand, and the reason I was shuffling is because I was considering playing the Ino and trying to put one in deck so that I could Mirage Step for all 3, but I just decided it was safer to evolve the one in Mirage Step for the other 2. So finally a good start from this deck. I did end up the tournament 2-2 after losing to this opponent when I got down paired, but it's alright. I only can get points from first places at challenges at this point. I got 2 more finishes to replace. 2 seconds to replace at challenges, and I got all year to do it, so not too worried about it. Although this was a win-a-box, so had I gotten first, I could have won an entire box, so that would have been nice. And my opponent, of course, gets a second double turbo energy to attach to this Drapion V. Now, he said that he plays this in here specifically because of the Mew VMAX matchup. One of his friends plays Mew VMAX a lot, and the Drapion you're going to see has some incidental synergy that you wouldn't expect. That's actually really good in this list. The 60 damage that you do to one of your own Pokemon actually really helps set up the damage in play for use with the Hisuian Zoroark Vs. So we're going to Ultra Ball, getting rid of the Gengar, and as well as another Ultra Ball. In order to search our deck for that Hisuian Zoroark, that is going to be put directly onto the bench, so we are going to see the Gardevoir Bog come into effect on it. I do believe we do catch that. Yeah, he catches it right now. So 20 damage to the Hisuian Zoroark, and then we're going to bring the Gengar out here as well. That'll get 3 damage counters on itself. And I think he's thinking about playing this damage pump, maybe. No, he's just going to go ahead and take the knockout with the Drapion. Has to self-damage here, so 6 to somewhere. So he's going to put that on his bench Pokemon that doesn't have any damage counters on it yet. Going to leave this active Pokemon at as much HP as possible. So this is definitely the correct play. And having 2 double turbos on this Drapion is actually really working out for him, because if I ever put a Gardevoir EX into play and I don't take the knockout on this Drapion, he could actually hit me for weakness. All of the Curlias and the Shining Arcana Gardevoirs are all metal weak, but they still one-shot me anyway. With 2 double turbos, that's 190, 170, 150 damage. So, yes, we'll still knock out any of those Pokemon anyways. It will not actually one-shot the Gardevoir EX because it will only do 300 damage because of the 2 double turbos. But 300 is still a very significant amount. If I bench a Ralts and it takes 20 from the Gardevoir Bog, and I'm not able to like Cresselia that off, that could be a huge issue. So we're going to use our 3 refinements here, and I'm just trying to decide exactly how I want to play this hand. I'm going to go ahead and go for the Ultra Ball here. Going to get rid of, I want to say that's a rare candy because that looks like a Heart Gold Soul Silver border, as well as a basic Psychic Energy to get the Shining Arcana Gardevoir so we can draw a couple more cards. I'm not happy quite enough with my hand just yet, and I can always just hit with that reversal energy here because I am behind on prizes. It will only do 150, but I'm really digging for that Gardevoir EX, and I just have not found it yet, which is unfortunate. I'm going to Super Rod back in my one Curlia line, Fog Crystal back out that same Ralts. It does take 2 from the Gapejaw Bog. I forgot to... I do have Artisan in this hand. I could have put the Artisan down and then used that to grab the Ralts instead of the Fog Crystal. I do believe that the Artisan's in my hand. And that would have been a little bit better. But leaving Gapejaw Bog in play right now isn't too bad for me because all of my opponent's Pokemon already have damage counters in play and he has a full bench. So Gapejaw Bog isn't going to get any... give any benefit to my opponent here. So looks like we do hit a heads on the Capturing Aroma to get an evolution Pokemon out of the deck. So we are going to find that Hisuian Zoroark VSTAR. Now the key thing about this is now going to be whether or not my opponent can find the double turbos to attack with the Hisuian Zoroarks, because 2 of them are already on the Drapion. So we do see a switch is going to put the Zoroark in the active spot, and we are going to use the V-Star power to discard our hand and draw a fresh, what is it, 7 or 8? I don't even remember. I think it's 7. Unfortunately, does not find the double turbo energy here, so he's going to actually attack with the Dodrio here, attaches jet energy to it, moves it active, so this Dodrio can damage itself by 1 damage counter in order to draw a card every turn, which is why it has some really great synergy with this deck. I think a little bit better than Bibarel in that regard because it can combo well with the V-Star power, letting you draw even more cards. And you can play the Jet Energy. It can attack for the 1 energy, and it does, I believe it's 10 plus 30 for every damage counter on this Pokemon. So after attacking with Drapion and putting 6 damage counters on itself, then putting 1 damage counter on itself with its own ability, it's actually hitting for 220 damage right now. So that's pretty huge damage numbers. So the Drapion actually putting in quite a bit of work here. We did also see that there was a damage pump, moved some of the damage off of the Drapion V onto the 1 Gengar on the bench, just so that, or a couple of them, he used 2 damage pumps. So we are only at 100, or no, what are we? We are at 110 damage left on that Drapion V. So trying to heal it up essentially a little bit because we know that is being threatened. So we're going to use our refinements here. Our Gardevoir did go down, so we do need to find our way to another Gardevoir here. I do have the Ralts on the bench with the 2 damage counters and a rare candy in hand, so I can actually rare candy into the Gardevoir EX. But we're going to have to see if we can get there. We also have the Cresselia, and I think what I should have done is maybe promote the Ralts instead, because now that I promoted the Curlia, we might not actually be able to retreat it without putting 2 energies onto it. So a little bit of a missequencing there, I think. But I don't think it's going to end up being very relevant. So we are going to rare candy into the Gardevoir EX. Now, because I have 2 damage counters on this Pokemon, it is within range of the Drapion being able to, like, boss and knock out. So I really do need to make sure that I Cresselia this turn. So I am going to get 2 energies from my discard pile. That'll put 40 damage on this Gardevoir. I do retreat it, and then I am going to put 2 damage counters on my active. I haven't used Shining Arcana yet. I am going to get 1 energy to my Gardevoir EX with that as well. And we are going to Moonglow reverse the Dodrio because it's actually the most threatening Pokemon from my opponent's board. I would not be able to knock out the Drapion just yet unless I wanted to do 24, 60. Unless I was able to bench 1 more Pokemon. And some random local guy who was there playing the challenge just gave me the play pack promos. He's like, yeah, I don't need these. So I ended up walking away with a free Manaphy, which was pretty cool. So shout out to a guy that I don't know the name of, that I've never met before in my life. You're the OG. And yes, so we have healed off this Gardevoir EX, so now it does live an attack from this Drapion. So this is a really cool and interesting match here. just specifically because of the way this Historian Zoroark deck works with the damage counters. I would not have been able to knock out a fresh Dodrio, even if it had the 1 damage counter on it from using its ability with the Cresselia. But since it had damage from the Drapion there, and because I was able to heal the 20 off of this this Gardevoir, I was able to live this hit, and I'm going to attach a second energy for a turn from hand. The last one did come off the Shining Arcana, so this one from turn will allow me to retreat this Pokemon. I am going to get a reversal energy, but I remember I just attached to the active. I'm like, wait a minute, I can't do that. That's dumb. And I am going to go for the Iono. So we're going to put my opponent at 4 cards in hand, hoping that that kind of bricks him a little bit more. I'm going to get the Greninja down as well. We're going to conceal some cards here. Refinement as well. Getting rid of Battle VIP Pass. And a retreat into the Cresselia. We are able to Moonglow reverse a second time. So I'm deciding what I want to knock out. If I want to go after this Dodrio, which has the least amount of HP, or if I want to load energies onto more of my board here. And here I make a really interesting play. I choose to put energy to the active Pokemon here. Because now I'm 1 energy away from being able to knock out the Drapion with the attack of the Cresselia, the second attack, for 110 damage, I believe it is. And if it does just get knocked out, that's another energy to my discard pile that I can just put on another Pokemon. So either way, it benefits me a little bit more to have it on that Cresselia than maybe on the Ralts on the bench. So here's where the turns start getting fairly long, because I think his name was, I'm already forgetting. I think I remembered it the last game I recorded, and I already forgot. Luke? I think it's Luke. I apologize, I'm so bad at names. And yeah, just takes the knockout with the Drapion, passes it over to me. I'm going to put up the Curlia that has 1 energy on it in case I have a way to maybe Super Rod, Artisan, and use that Cresselia yet again. That would be pretty ideal for me. My deck is very low on cards right now, so I'm actually using Refinement. I'm actually trying to basically deck myself out so I have full deck knowledge and have access to everything I could possibly want every single turn. So I'm going to evolve into the EX on the active, and this is a really cool play that I go for. I'm going to damage myself by 2 here, and then I have Collapsed Stadium in my hand, so I'm going to bench another Ralts and collapse away my own Gardevoir that has a ton of damage on it. And then I can use this Gardevoir EX in the active spot to take the knockout on the Zoroark, or on the Drapion V. And then I have my Pokemon with the most amount of HP in the active in case my opponent is able to find the double turbo to attack with the Zoroark VSTAR. It also gets rid of one of the Gengars. So if he... so that means there's going to be 1 less damaged Pokemon in play from my opponent at the very least. He could always bring the Gengar back again, but he'll have to find a Gapejaw Bog in order to be able to utilize that. And yeah, finds the Radiant Alakazam, which is not really doing too much of anything for him here, just because he can move damage to my Ralts on the bench, but it's going to take 3 turns for that damage to end up mattering. If the Gapejaw Bog was more relevant in the matchup, and I had to, say I didn't Mirage Step, and I wasn't able to ever replace the Stadium, it would be getting a lot more value here because all of these Ralts that I'm benching down would be taking more damage. We're going to see the Dodrio is going to draw 1 card. He does find the double turbo, but he also has a Jet energy. He could just Jet his active and hit for 220 again. And I think that's the best play for him because he's attacking with a 1-prizer to hit my 2-prizer pretty hard. And then he can like try to knock it out with the Zoroark on the next turn. And here I play boss's orders, so I'm able to boss up a Zoroark and take the knockout. And I forgot exactly what it does, even though exactly 1 weekend ago from the time of recording, from when this tournament was, I played to last year, 1 year ago, I actually played in Salt Lake City Regionals, and I played Hisuian Zoroark VSTAR, and I don't even remember what it does. I went 5-3-1. I started 4-1-1. I ended up, it was a funny day because Chip was watching one of my matches. Chip, one of the commentators for the official stream. I was against a Arceus V-Star Charizard V Max deck, and I one-shot a Charizard V Max with a Choice Belt and a full bench of damaged Pokemon. Chip just laughed and walked away. It was really fun. That was the highlight of my day, was just one-shotting a Charizard V Max. But yeah, that is everything, guys. As always, do not forget to comment, like, and subscribe, as it says up above. And we will see you all next time for more Pokemon's goodness.